Hi everybody. So for this first assignment that you have in virtual communication, you are asked to create a blog or an article about one of the topics that we've been talking about in virtual communication throughout the semester. One of the requirements of the article that you're going to create is that it has to have a certain number of hyperlinks. And those can be either internal hyperlinks to your own web page, or they can be hyperlinks to external websites. The important part of hyperlinking is that it allows you to connect to other people. It makes things easier for your readers to follow and go off and research on their own. And it also brings up your results higher in Google's search function, so that when people search key terms, if you have a lot of links to other sites and they link back to yours, it creates a better search result and it brings you up into search results. So I'm going to walk you through how I actually hyperlink stuff when I'm creating articles. A website that I write for is called Cage Potato, and they do stories about UFC and MMA fights. I'm a fan of the sport, and one of the recent articles that I wrote was called 5 MMA Fighters Who Left at the Right Time. And before I go through the list of the 5 fighters that I think left the sport at the right time, I have a paragraph, 2 paragraphs in this case, that are contextualizing why I'm writing the article. The reason I'm writing the article is because one of the greatest fighters of all time just had a leg break in the main event of one of the UFCs, and I think that rather than trying to rehab his leg and come back to the sport, that he should just retire and ride off into the sunset, because he's sort of done everything that he could ever do in the sport. And now is the right time to retire. That's sort of the context for this article. Now I'm going to actually take you through how I hyperlinked a few different things in the introduction to this article. So I create all my articles in Word documents, and I do my hyperlinking from within these Word documents. So I'm going to take you how I do that. And one thing that I want to say before I get into it is that when you're going through your research, you're going to be researching websites, books, maybe some scholarly journal articles. You need to keep those handy. You need to keep the information and where you got that information from really handy, because when you're hyperlinking, you're going to want to be able to hyperlink to those pages easily. If you haven't saved where you got those pages from, it's going to take a lot of headaches to go back and try and find where you got that information from in the first place. Now let's get to it. So here my first sentence of the article is, following Anderson Silva's devastating leg break against Chris Weidman, many observers hoped that one of the greatest fighters of all time would decide to retire in order to spend more time with his family and count all of the Anderson Silva money he's earned from fighting. That's my first sentence. So within this first sentence, I've got a couple places where I think that there would be good hyperlinks. So to start off with, following Anderson Silva's devastating leg break. Now, there's part of the sentence that I want to have a hyperlink to, and that's devastating leg break. So for people that may have missed the fight and don't know what I'm referring to when I say devastating leg break, what I do is I find an article here that shows a photograph of the minute that Anderson Silva broke his leg. I should have given a graphic warning because it is quite graphic, but here's a photograph of what happened during that fight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the URL. I'm going to copy the URL from this article that shows the picture. I'm going to go back to my Word document. I'm going to highlight the words devastating leg break. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go down to hyperlink, and then I'm going to insert this, paste it into where it's asking for the address here, and then I'm going to click OK. And now you'll see that when somebody's reading through this article, when they scroll over devastating leg break, if they're not sure what that refers to, or they want to go and research this further, it's going to link them to that photograph that I just went to on the web. Another part that I have in here is Anderson Silva money. And I say this because there's a famous fighter who talked about how in order to say yes to a fight, he wanted Anderson Silva money. He was complaining that he didn't get enough money to fight in the UFC. So I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to go to the article where that fighter talks about the fact that he wants Anderson Silva money. Here it is. I'm going to right click on it, copy it, go back to my document, right click on the part that I want to hyperlink, click hyperlink, and then paste it in there and press OK. So now whenever anybody scrolls over this part of the article, it's going to take them, if they click on it, it's going to take them to that article that talks about the fighter who wants Anderson Silva money. Now there's a bunch of instances throughout this article that you could hyperlink different things. You could choose to hyperlink somebody's name, another phrase that goes in there. It's up to you. This is just a process to find the article, click it in, and paste the article so people can go to it.